Let's paint this zinnia. For reference photo, please check the link in the description below. And thanks to Ilona Stefan for allowing us to paint this photo. Start by wetting the paper. I have also prepared my colors in advance: pinks, blues, greens, and violets. I'll load my brush with the color I needed and paint them on my wet paper. Don't worry too much where the paint spreads at this stage. We'll be defining the flower later when this has dried. Just avoid dropping dark color where the flower should be. Sorry for the autofocus and dark footage. My ring lights will arrive soon and hopefully 3 of them would be enough. Splatter water for texture. You may use your brush or your fingers. Let this dry and retrace your sketch if needed. I retraced mine because it faded away during the first wash. It's time for negative painting. Since the background is darker than the flower, this technique works perfectly well. You have to choose a brush that's best for negative painting. I've tried flat, angled, mop brushes, but I find synthetic round tip brushes the most suitable when negative painting. What about you? Start by painting around the shape and softening the colors by brushing them away from the petals. Let them bleed and blend with the background. You'll notice that I'm loading my brush with different shades of green and blue for variety. Work carefully and patiently around the shape. Later, I'll show you how to correct mistakes in case you painted inside the petals. Continue doing this until you see the bottom petals starting to take shape. While this is damp, use something sharp like the edge of a brush, an old credit card, or a pen that doesn't write anymore to draw the veins of the leaves. This is called scratching. It's also perfect for painting grass, defining fur, and adding texture to hair. I'm using the reference photo to help me decide where to add details. It's not our goal to copy the photo 100%, but at least let's make this look like a flower. So don't be too harsh on yourself if you don't get an exact copy of the reference photo. Just use it for reference and have fun painting. Okay? While the paper is still damp, add darker colors to define the leaves. Notice that I'm also using a smaller brush now. Use the background color to define the petals at the top of the flower. Use the same combination of techniques, just how we did the lower part. First, define the shape by negative painting. Then, with a bigger brush, Soften the edges and let the colors blend with the background. No need to define all the petals. Soon as this looks like a flower, I left the other petals undefined. Work on the shadows next by directly painting and softening when you think it's needed. Don't forget to check the reference photo to help you decide where to place those shadows. With quick dabbing stroke, work on the center of the flower. Add darker colors for contrast too. It's important to take note that I am filming this on a rainy day. It's cold, so the paper dries slower. You'll see that the lower part of my paper is still damp, which allows me to do more of wet on wet technique to darken the leaves. If yours is already 90% dry, it's better to leave it to dry completely, then re-wet it, and then do the wet on wet technique. Or try direct painting instead. For harmony, I'll use the same colors of the flower on the background too. Splatter for texture, and leave this to dry for the final step. I don't want my flower to look like a cutout, so I will lift some paint on the edges of the flower shape. To do this, grab a flat synthetic brush. A round brush also works. Wet it with water and slightly scrub on the area that you want to soften. This is also a softening technique but on dry paper. I'm patting my paper dry with paper towel too to absorb the pigments that were reactivated when I was lifting them with a wet brush. Using the same technique, define some veins. When lifting, you should also take note that not all colors and not all papers allow pigments to be lifted easily. Pigments have staining ratings, and this info is available in a brand's website, like Daniel Smith or Holbein's website. As a final touch, add darker shadows as you see fit. We're nearly done. Don't forget to boop that like button for us to reach more people. And I'm looking forward to seeing your versions of this painting. Again, use the same link in the description box below for more info. Thanks so much and see ya!